Hello and welcome to Storytelling DIY, where I show you different ways to create stories in the moment. Today I'm using picture cards that are themed around fables and myths. And I'm gonna take about 6 or 7 of them to create a story. Information about these cards you will find in the video description. So I'm using these cards and I put them face up to create a story out of them. Yeah, let's leave it at that. Now, when you want to create a story with cards and pictures and you don't know how to begin, ask yourself the W questions. Who, where, when, and why. They always give you a start. You can also ask how. So let's use these questions to get the story started. When? At a time long ago, when the world was still young, there were drums beating. A woman sitting at her loom, weaving a cloth, heard these drums, and they somehow reminded her of when she was a girl and her father one day called her into his office and he gave her a key. And he said, "Take this key and find the door that opens it." I haven't got a clue where that is, but all I can tell you, it's far away. So she took the key, hired a boat, and started her journey into where she hadn't got a clue either where she was going. But on the boat, she found a map with an X. An X meant that's the spot where she had to go. So she traveled to this land with the spot where she had to go. And as she arrived there, another old man was there, and he recognized her immediately because she had the key in her hands. And he said, "Go up these stairs and open the door on top of the stairs," which she did. And as she opened the door, she looked into a completely different world. And this is where I stop the story. It has an open-ended ending. The obvious question now is, what happens next? That you can ask your listeners. And I'm sure there will be suggestions coming. So you can do that at home or in the classroom. Leave the story open. Ask what happens next. Now, to continue the story, I could use more cards out of the set, or I use my own made cards that I have given to friends, to family, to visitors. Everybody could draw something on it, doesn't have to be elaborate. All you need is a basket of pencils and a few pre-cut cards in different colors. I must say the dark ones are not so good for drawing. The colors don't come through. So have some lighter color cards and have the set at home. Or if you're a teacher, you could give it to your students as a homework and create one card as a homework. Yeah. Now then you can use these cards to continue the story. For example, she smiled when she saw this other world. Or one more thing, when you have a set of cards, create the back in the same way, so then it makes it a set. So you can use the self-made cards to continue the story. Or what you can also do is do this. On her journey into the unknown, she passed many countries, and she lived in this house, which was by the sea, obviously. So you can actually take the core story and elaborate on the individual points, or you can even eventually make another story from this starting card or that starting card. So elaborate on it. And this is the why. Why was she smiling? Because she saw a whole new world. Here is another example I want to show you of self-made cards. These are postcard sized, and whatever struck my eye or caught my eye, I made over the years into these cards. Laminate them and have again the same design on the back, and that then creates your set, your own individual set of cards. Anything that you fancy. My favorite. Fashion photography, macro photography, science, anything. This one just reminds me. These drums were beaten by the lion. That was his job whenever there was something that needed to be messaged or to get someone to remind something, to remember something. And here's another way of creating your own cards is find a subject that you find particularly interesting. In this case, it's barn doors. Barn doors in northern Germany. And the interesting thing is not one is alike. They're all different. So the other reason why she was smiling was because the entrances to these buildings were only barn doors, nothing else. You see, this is how you create a story with picture cards. Ready-made picture cards that have a certain theme, self-made cards that you assemble or collect over time, same with your own postcard size pictures, certain subjects you're interested in, and then you can elaborate on a story, continue it, and if you are able, if you have the space, have a table where you put the story and leave it, let's say, for a week, and then whoever has something to add to it in the form of a picture, can also be cutouts from magazine, can add to it as long as he or she can make a connection to what happens before. And it will be a very interesting, a very colorful and a very unique kind of story you will have at the end of the week. You can also make it over 2 days. It doesn't have to be so long. But it is something that nobody else has. And in the end, when you have finished the story, give it a title. Because with the title you will remember the story again. Or you take a picture of the story and make a copy, and then you have starting a copy storybook. So this story I would call The Key. Yeah. You see, different ways. If you get stuck, use the W questions and the one how question. Different cards made in different ways. Now it's your turn to come up with your ideas. I'll leave you with this and see you soon in another edition of Storytelling DIY.